Hey everybody, Brian Gandy here with Sustainable Terrains and the Relamp and Relax program. In this video, I'm going to talk about a couple of fixtures, but also really pose the question, do you really need 1,000 watts of LED? And, you know, I'm going to use these fixtures as examples because these are from a vendor that I have worked with for a long time. They're lesser known, but they source directly OEM. So the brand is IQ Horticulture. And this is their Zinn and their Sky fixtures, basically a top light and a racking fixture. And these are both 1,000 watt, give or take a few watts for those form factors, which are new and they're DLC listed. And, you know, putting in 1,000 watt in replace of 1,000 watt seems like it might be excessive. And that really is kind of the case. So unless you're running, you know, you got to look at different metrics. If you're hitting north of 2 grams per watt at 720 watts, that's a better replacement in my mind as far as a watt to watt comparison, because then you actually get the power draw reduction from HPS to LED. However, there's a couple of other ways to think about it. You know, if you are looking long term and you know that you're going to run these lights for as long as you can, but you also know that the light output is going to degrade over time, one concept is to, you know, future-proof your garden by basically installing these 1,000 watt fixtures, setting them at 80% and running them at 800 watts, getting a lot of horsepower out of them for a long time, but then knowing that eventually the light is going to degrade down 10, 20% in 5 to 10 years. So then you actually crank them up at that point to get more life out of it. So that's one way to do it, or you can just take them out of the box, rip them at 1,000 watts and, you know, work to get your numbers up from a yield standpoint. And there can be a lot of benefit. One of the reasons I think that we see a lot of 1,000 watt racking fixtures in particular on the market is that certain markets have been paying out rebates to growers based on the wattage of the fixture rather than a kilowatt per hour reduction, which was normally the case. So basically a rebate company will pay $1 or 70 cents per watt of fixture that you're putting in, even if, you know, you're only reducing your power draw by 50 watts. I don't think that those days are going to last forever. I feel like a lot of those rebate companies have already kind of realized that people are using that 1,000 watt fixture to do just that. So, you know, can you make use of 1,000 watts? Absolutely. In a greenhouse mounted way up high, having 1,000 watts of LED definitely makes a lot of sense. And especially, again, if you're going to be using the active dimming from the LED, that's one of the primary benefits of LED in a greenhouse. Just a little bit about both of these fixtures. Again, this is just the racking style, 8 bar, 1,000 watts. They both have this same power supply. Another reason I'm doing these together is because they come from the same company, so they're built with overlapping components. Just a monster, you know, really long power supply. But this has a really slim chassis and form factor for a greenhouse to reduce shading. It's got a little bit older style heatsink by this point, but again, it's tried and true. And then both of these fixtures will have a manual control on them built in. So again, you can set them manually in your garden or set them at external and then have them wired together to run 0 to 10 volt control to control them over time. There's fixtures that will last for a very long time. There's fixtures that are marketed to run for a very long time. Having a partner that's sourcing out from overseas that's really got active product management and long-running relationships is almost better than going with some bigger name brand companies that don't have the same focus or ability to control the quality of their product. You know, these guys can actually vet the supply chain and the components all the way back. To harp on a point that I touch on in all of my videos, these have conformal coating rather than a fixed glass or polycarbonate material, which I prefer. However, again, you know, this is more of like the commodity style of fixture that's going to deliver the power cost effectively, and then having the build quality that's familiar, is tried and true, and there's nothing wrong with it. I just prefer in a commercial setting to have that component protection. But if you're going to go without, just know what you're getting. Samsung LEDs are kind of a thing of the past. Samsung themselves is actually getting out of the LED component because of the price pressure from secondary manufacturers like Leadstar and Seoul Semiconductor and several others. So anybody who's saying that they're actually running Samsung chips on their boards may or may not be at this point, just because of the cost and the performance of other chips. So again, these are really solid fixtures. We work with these guys. If you have questions about this or any other lighting, please give us a shout. Check out our Relamp and Relax programs for HPS and LED. If you're looking at transitioning to LED from HPS, make sure you know what you're doing and what you're getting when you go to the LED. But as always, thanks for watching. See you next time.